We reached a point in our lives when we started hating ourselves instead of the individual who had cheated on us and ruined us. I am sitting outside my house. I have one hand covered in blood, and my body is shivering at this time of night. Let's say that the name of my wife was Elena, and she worked as an editor for a newspaper. I was a newly recruited cop, the name Jack. It was in a police station that we had our first meeting. This is where she came over to another officer to get an update on a new case, and she took some notes. After refusing to tell her anything about the incident that day, the officer told her to leave the area. In her anger, she also walked in a very angry manner, hitting me as she had no idea what I was coming, as she was holding some papers in her hand. The documents all fell on the ground as a result. In an attempt to assist her in picking up those papers, I was able to help her, but she told me not to touch them and left in anger. As far as I remember, our meeting was very harsh. Nevertheless, the next day, we were at a crime scene and getting details about the victims from the people involved. As she came over, it is obvious that she was there in order to get all the details about which had taken place. As I recall, she recognized me, so she came to apologize to me. Then I said that it was fine with me. When she asked me about me, I told her that I was a new recruit and that I was doing well in my training. According to her, she has also been working in the news industry for the past 2 years. After I made her aware of how much I appreciated her, she asked me if I could do her a favor. I was glad to oblige. As soon as she said she would like to discuss it over a cup of coffee, we went for a cup of coffee. It was stated by her that she was in charge of writing criminal reports and she was facing a lot of difficulties in doing so, as she needed someone who would provide her with all the information about all the current crimes. After listening for a while, I decided to agree since I thought it would be great if she also working for public. We became professional friends as a result of that. As a result of all of this, we worked together for a long time. It was made clear to me that my department would not permit me to share these kind of news with the public, so I always shared with her the news that should be made public. I had not shared a single piece of confidential information that could harm our reputation with anyone. However, in all this, we came to be good friends as well. It was not long before we fell in love with each other. We have become lovers. In love, we were also very attached to each other, due to the fact that our profession is somewhat relative. It was great that we were able to discuss a lot of topics together. In addition, both of us provided our perspectives on the matter. Unlike other girls, she does not constantly try to appear as smart as she can, as opposed like other girls. It was always a pleasure to listen to her and appreciate, as well as she always accept her mistakes if she had made them on purpose. As a matter of fact, it was one of her habits. We went on to start a life in a relationship. Anyhow, according to her, this was her choice. It was obvious that she wanted to spend as much time with me as possible. She then asked me to marry her after a year had passed. The first thing that I was extremely surprised by was the fact that she would ask me one day just in casual conversation. I never thought it would happen. In any case, I agreed to get married to her regardless of what happened. Due to the fact that her parents lived out of state, she called her parents asking them to come to Miami. I was able to meet them after they came over. It was also a pleasure for them to have us there. The support they provided was very much appreciated. Due to the fact that I did not have parents, they treat me like if I was their own son. In less than a week, we were married. As a couple, we had a wonderful time together. As a child who grew up in an orphanage, I had no idea that I would be married to a girl who loved me a lot and whose parents liked me as well. I felt a very different feeling when I was there. As a couple, we had a lot of fun at our wedding. It was as if a blessing had come to me at that moment. In my life, it was one of the best months of my life, and one of the happiest months ever. As a result of our marriage, her parents returned to their home. As a part of our honeymoon, we went to Europe for a few days. As soon as we returned from our trip, we started our regular lives back at home. I spent about 1 year of my life happily with my wife. After a year, however, problems started to occur. As a result, I got transferred from my city to the other one. It was about a 7 to 8 hours drive from my house to the another city. As a result, initially I requested my seniors and department not to transfer me anywhere, but unfortunately I had to go somewhere else for some reasons. Enola and I discussed this matter a while ago. My real intention was to persuade her to move to another city, but she refused to do so because she deemed her job as equally important as her move. In this case, I agreed without any argument on my part. In the meantime, I have moved to another city in order to join duty. On the other hand, I used to come home at weekends when I got a chance. In the beginning, she was always calling me and asking about me in many times a day. However, with the passage of time, things have changed. There was no longer any question that she asked me. Whenever I called her, she would make excuses about her job or how busy she was. In any case, I ignored everything because I was also aware of the fact that she had a job to do. I got a call one day from one of my colleagues in Miami with whom I had worked for many years. As he told me, he went on a beach holiday with his wife and a child a few days ago. He saw Enola with a guy there in a very revealing dress. Also, both of them were riding on the same jet ski at the same time. There was something strange about the news. I asked him again to recall it properly, so that I could ask him if that is really her or not. His response was that he was certain, but that he would keep an eye on her to make sure. There was nothing I asked Enola about. It is because I have always believed that involvement of third parties in a relationship always have the potential to ruin the relationship. Either they were on the right track or they were not. In addition to this news, her behavior also changed abruptly along with the news. And this was a red flag. I got a call from my friend again after a few days to apologize to me because he said he was a bit wrong, that was Enola, but they were also colleagues of each other and also had their fellow colleagues. There is a possibility that they were friends. There was no doubt in my mind that he was telling the truth. She was someone I had a lot of trust in. However, as soon as I came home over the weekend, I was able to catch up with her after a long time. It was late at night and she wasn't at home. As I was calling her and asking her where she was, I felt a sense of nervousness in her voice. Since I was a cop, I was able to sense that something was amiss. In a half an hour, she said she would be home. After she hugged me, I smelled her scent, and while I was smelling it, I felt like I was smelling the scent of a man. In addition, she was a bit drunk at the time due to the fact that I was very exhausted. I suddenly went to sleep. In the morning, I woke up and told her that we would hang out for the rest of the day. However, she did not respond in a satisfactory manner. Afterwards, she explained that today she had to meet with a couple of people. The whole experience was a bit strange. I came home and she refused to go out with me after I came over home after a very long time. I did not say anything at the time, so in sadness I decided to return in afternoon and I left in noon without informing her. The whole time I was doing duty, I was always having flashbacks of all the suspicious things she did. As a result, I called her and had a conversation with her. That night, however, She was just like she had been before. There is a possibility that I was mistaken. As a result, I was able to relax a little bit. In my apartment, I was working on preparing for my transfer back to Miami, and that was the way it was going to happen. Then, one day, I decided to take a leave from work because I missed her so much and go home and surprise her. I got the leave and was on the way home with gifts in hand. Neither did I ask her anything, nor did I tell her anything. Just to make sure that she was awakened or fell, I just made sure that she was awakened. By the time I got home, it was about 1:47 in the late night. With the master key in my hand, I was able to enter the house. There were some voices coming from the bedroom when I entered. My gun was in my hand when I went there and opened the door to the room. The scene I saw shook me to the core of my being. It was something I had no idea about. It was just like I had been hanged. It seemed as if the earth was moving ups and downs for a while. There was a naked man with Enola with a blanket that I saw. It was a moment when I was speechless and senseless at the same time. It did not take long for Enola to get up and complete all her crap that she attempted to make the mistake. There was no bad intention on her part. It just happened unfortunately. As I said, I wanted her to be quiet. As she did not quiet, I decided to shoot into the ceilings. Suddenly, she became frightened and started to cry. The next thing I did was to pull out my cell phone and make a video call to her parents. This is while standing in front of them. This is due to the fact that they would definitely be sleeping at that time, so they did not pick up. In the end, I started recording, and when I asked them both how long it was going, there was a very wide difference between their answers and how long it was going. When I threatened them with shooting, then they were able to reveal the truth to me. For the last 3 months, they've been fucking each other. It was my order to Nella not to take her clothes. I sat in this position for quite a while. There was a bit of confidence in that guy, and he did not seem to have taken any steps so far. As far as I know, he had no idea that I was a cop. Regardless, I did not say anything to him and just hit him with a gun in the head in anger. A lot of blood is dripping from his face as a result of the injury. After that, I told him to leave and not to show his face again. It was my wife, not him, that I believed was the real cheater in my marriage. The man was still single at the time. Having locked Anilla in her room, I walked out of the house and sat outside drinking along with that, while all that I was doing was sending her recordings to her parents and telling them to come and pick her up. It was because I could no longer tolerate the way she behaved. About 5 o'clock in the morning, it was still dark outside. The scenario lasted for about 3 hours in total. As soon as they saw my message, they messaged me to let me know that they were on their way to my home in a few hours. There was a friend of mine that I went to. The reason I don't want to face them is because I don't even want to look at them. I came home in the middle of the night and found that they had gone. In the meantime, I am working on the divorce process as well. In spite of the fact that I had a broken heart, I was just going through all of this in a bad way.